will destroy everything that you love.
I will teach you a lesson. Are you all right? Did Karen hurt you?
I never thought the HOA would be bold enough to send armed men to my doorstep, or that my wife would end up bleeding on our porch because of it. But when you're a CIA agent living undercover in the suburbs, some lines can't be crossed. And Karen, she crossed every single one. Before we get started, quick question for you. Comment which beautiful country you tuned in from and what time it is. I'd love to know. Alright, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So here's how this circus started. I moved into Willow Oaks for one reason, to disappear. After 12 years in the CIA, deep cover ops, asset extractions, burn notices, my nerves were fried. All I wanted was a quiet street, a backyard, and a normal life with Amelia. But Willow Oaks had something much worse than foreign terrorists. It had Karen, the HOA president. A woman who ran the neighborhood like a miniature dictatorship. Fines for lawn height, threats for parking angles, and a personal crusade against anyone she didn't approve of. For months, I ignored her, until the night she sent her compliance officers. It was 11:42 p.m. I was in my garage cleaning an old toolkit when I heard Amelia scream from outside. My blood froze. I sprinted to the front yard and saw two men in dark clothing grabbing her arm, shoving a paper in her face. One man barked, "Sign the violation notice or you'll be removed from the property." My instincts took over. I didn't see HOA goons. I saw hostile operatives assaulting my wife. I grabbed the first guy by the collar and slammed him against the pillar. The other stepped back, reaching for something on his belt that looked way too much like a stun baton for an HOA dispute. "Who sent you?" I growled. They hesitated. Then one whispered, "Karen." She said your wife was resisting. Amelia was shaking, her wrist already bruising. I swear something inside me snapped. I forced the men to the ground, disarmed the baton, and dragged Amelia inside as they scrambled away. As I locked the door, my wife looked up at me with terrified eyes. "Why would the HOA send armed men over a trash bin?" she whispered. "Trash bin? That's what this was about?" Then I saw the paper they'd thrown on the porch. $7,500 violation. Final warning. Possible property seizure. They weren't just harassing us. They were trying to take our home. But they didn't know my past. They didn't know who I really was. And Karen had no idea that attacking Amelia was the worst mistake of her life. I turned to my wife and said quietly, "Tomorrow, I'm ending this." The night hit different. Agent Cole Ramirez sat in his SUV across from the HOA complex, engine off, lights killed, watching the rows of identical houses glow under the yellow street lamps. His gut hadn't settled since the confrontation earlier. Karen's eyes, they weren't normal pissed-off suburban mom eyes. They were plotting, calculating, dangerous, and he'd seen dangerous. Cole checked his watch. 1:47 a.m. His daughter was home. Safe. Doors locked. Alarm system armed. She'd texted him a selfie, wrapped in a blanket, annoyed that he was still out working, but smiling. That made it easier. A little. He reached for the file on the passenger seat, the one marked HOA incidents, redacted priority. 3 more families in the last 2 months. Harassed, fined, threatened. 2 had abruptly moved out in the middle of the night. 1 had voluntarily surrendered their property after a code violation. Voluntarily, his ass. He flipped a page and froze. A photo. A grainy security still. A black SUV with fake light bars. 2 men in knockoff tactical gear. One of them, wearing the same embroidered HOA badge Karen had waved at him today. Just as he leaned in, his radio buzzed. "Cole, you need to get home. Now." It was dispatch. Breathless. "Why? What happened?" "Your alarm was tripped. Rear door. Sensors show movement inside. Multiple." The air left his lungs. His hand slammed the engine start. SUV roared to life. He hit the gas so hard the tires barked. "Units en route?" "Negative. 2 patrol cars got rerouted." Someone changed the dispatch priority. Someone. Someone with authority. Someone with access. His jaw clenched. "Karen." He flew through the neighborhood because training didn't matter. Procedure didn't matter. Only one thing mattered: his daughter. He skidded into his driveway, door swinging open before the car even stopped. Porch light flickering, cut wires dangling. Back door cracked open. Someone had tried prying it, then forced the lock. Heart pounding, he drew his sidearm and moved inside. Living room wrecked. Footprints on the tiles. A flashlight still rolling on the floor. Then, a muffled whimper. Dad? His daughter. He burst into the hallway and froze. Two fake officers in tactical gear had her cornered against the wall. One held a zip tie. The other had his hand over her mouth. The taller one turned. Sir, this is HOA enforcement. Crack. Cole didn't even let him finish. Poor bastard caught a fist so hard he hit the wall before he hit the floor. The other fake officer reached for a baton. Cole had him pinned in 2 seconds flat, knee on his spine, arm locked behind him until the bone popped. He grabbed the man by the collar, slamming him against the hall closet door. Who sent you? The man gasped. Karen. She said your house was out of compliance. Wrong answer. Cole punched the wall next to his head so hard it splintered. My daughter was home. The man stammered. She said we'd just scare her. A noise outside cut him off. Engines. Lots of them. Headlights flooding the windows. Cole peeked through the blinds. 10 HOA vehicles. 10 officers. Karen standing out front in a pink nightgown, arms crossed, wearing a smile that made his blood boil. This wasn't a visit. This was a raid. And she'd brought an army. The street looked like a war zone. Cole counted the silhouettes through the blinds. Vests, helmets, rifles that looked real enough to fool anyone in the dark. 10 HOA officers. Each fanned out like they'd rehearsed a takedown. Their cars blocked both ends of the street. And in the middle of it all stood Karen. Pink nightgown, clipboard in one hand, megaphone in the other. A twisted suburban general commanding her little army. She raised the megaphone. Agent Cole Ramirez, step out of the home. You are in violation of multiple community codes. Her voice echoed through the neighborhood, waking porch lights and confused neighbors. Cole's daughter whispered behind him, shaking a little. Dad, what do we do? He holstered his gun and put his hands on her shoulders. You stay behind me. Do not move unless I tell you. Got it. She nodded. He turned back to the fake officer he had restrained on the floor. But he was gone. The window behind him was cracked open. He'd escaped into the chaos outside. Great. Karen spoke again. Gleeful. Failure to exit will result in escalation under Clause 14B. Clause 14B? He had no idea what that was. But it didn't sound like a friendly welcome basket. Cole stepped deeper into the hallway, checking sightlines. 2 shadowy figures moved along the side of his house. 2 more positioned near the back door. They were surrounding the home. He grabbed his daughter's backpack from the chair and stuffed inside. Power bank, her inhaler, 2 water bottles, his spare car keys, and a burner phone. Put this on, he said, handing her one of his old tactical hoodies. Stay behind me. And keep your head down. She zipped it up, hands trembling. From outside, thump, thump, thump. Someone was trying the back door again. He leaned toward the kitchen, gun drawn. Then, the front windows flooded with bright white light. Headlights, flashlights, spotlights. Karen's silhouette crossed the lawn, stepping closer. She lifted the megaphone. This is your final warning. Exit the property and submit for inspection. Inspection. They were calling a home invasion an inspection. He looked at his daughter. She looked back at him, trusting him completely. He whispered, Stay close. Move when I move. He took a slow breath, and suddenly, crash, a smoke canister exploded through the living room window. Thick white gas spilled across the floor, filling the air with a chemical burn. His daughter coughed violently. Cole yanked his shirt over her face and pulled her into the hallway. Smoke grenades? Really? HOA's gone paramilitary now, he muttered, rage rising. Another canister rolled across the tiles, hissing. Then, footsteps on the porch. Heavy. Coordinated. They were about to breach. Cole grabbed the hallway closet door, opened it, and pulled down the attic ladder. "Climb," he told her. "What about you?" she whispered. "I'm right behind you." She climbed. He followed, pulled the ladder up just as the front door shattered open. Boom! Fake officers swarmed inside, coughing through the smoke but moving with purpose. From the attic, Cole lifted one of the ceiling panels and peeked down through the crack. He counted 3 in the living room, 2 in the kitchen, 1 heading down the hall toward the bedrooms. Karen walked in behind them like she owned the place. "Search every inch," she said sharply. "I want him fined, cited, and removed tonight." "A fine?" She justified an armed raid with a fine? Cole clenched his fists. He was done hiding. He eased toward the attic access above the hallway, positioned himself directly over the advancing officer, and dropped like a hammer. He landed on the man with a deafening crash, knocking him cold in an instant. The other spun around, startled. Cole rose to his feet, eyes cold. Inspection's over. The moment Cole dropped from the attic, the entire house froze. The nearest officer lifted his rifle. Cole grabbed the barrel, twisted, and slammed the man into the staircase railing. Another swung a baton. Cole blocked, elbowed him in the jaw, and swept his legs out. 3 down in under 4 seconds. He didn't kill them. He didn't need to, just made sure they wouldn't get up soon. More boots thundered inside. 2 silhouettes rushed down the hallway. Cole pulled a smoke canister off the floor, yanked the pin, and rolled it toward them. The hall filled with a dense, white wall. He grabbed his daughter's hand and moved low, guiding her carefully behind the sofa. The house shook with movement and shouting. Over the noise, Karen's voice cut through. "I want him alive. Do you hear me? Alive." She wasn't trying to scare him. She wanted him captured. "Why?" A sudden crackle of static echoed. Karen was speaking into a secure radio. Not a cheap walkie-talkie. Something military-grade. Cole motioned his daughter to stay hidden and slipped through the smoke, silent as a ghost, until he was close enough to hear. "Karen, yes, the CIA asset is contained. Your men are retrieving him now." A cold ripple hit Cole's spine. "CIA asset?" She continued. "Once I deliver him, our contract is honored. My position becomes federal." Federal. She was trying to climb her way into government by handing him over to someone. But who? A new voice answered through the radio. Deep, metallic, modulated. "Unknown. He is not to be harmed. He is property of our division. Bring him to the extraction van." Extraction. Division. Property. Cole's jaw clenched. His past was catching up. Karen wasn't acting alone. She was working with a rogue federal group still hunting him since the day he left the agency. He stepped out of the smoke behind her. "Karen." She froze, turned, saw him, sweaty, bruised, bleeding, but alive. Her expression twisted into a furious, trembling smile. "I knew it," she whispered. "You're worth more than the whole neighborhood combined." "You put your hands on my wife," Cole growled. "You sent armed men to my home. For a promotion." Karen raised the radio like a trophy. "You're going to make me powerful, Cole. You should be honored." He took a slow step toward her. Behind him, more officers rushed in. Karen lifted a finger. "Don't shoot. If he's damaged, the deal is off." She backed toward the front door. "That van outside?" she taunted. "It's here to take you somewhere, far from your little family." His daughter's frightened eyes flashed in his mind. "No, not again." He surged forward. Karen screamed. Her officers raised their rifles. The smoke thickened, and Cole smashed through the front window, hitting the lawn hard and rolling behind a bush. Karen shrieked into her radio. "He's escaping. Lock down the street. Do not let him reach the van." But Cole wasn't running to flee. He was running to intercept. He saw it now. A matte black van at the end of the cul-de-sac. Engine running. Door open. Inside were men who weren't from the HOA. Government. Rogue. His past. He sprinted low through the shadows, heart hammering. This wasn't just about Karen anymore. This was bigger. Much bigger. Cole reached the cul-de-sac just as the black van's engine revved. Two men in tactical gear stood beside it. No HOA patches, no cheap knockoff armor. Real operatives. Government trained. One spotted Cole moving through the shadows. He's here. The man raised a suppressed SMG. Cole tackled him before he pulled the trigger, slamming him into the pavement. The second operative swung a rifle, but Cole ducked, rolled, and swept his legs. Both down. Not dead, just disabled. He grabbed the van door and ripped it open. Inside, old-style federal restraints, monitoring equipment, sedatives, a black flight bag with the insignia burned off, and on the dashboard, a familiar ID badge. Cole froze. The badge wasn't from the CIA. It was from Division 7, the covert domestic branch responsible for internal corrections. A group so off-book even most agents pretended it didn't exist. They weren't supposed to be operational anymore. But the badge was fresh. Someone brought them back. And they wanted him. A voice behind him cut through the night. Cole, get away from the van. He turned. Karen stood 10 feet away, flanked by her beaten, wheezing fake officers. Her hair was wild, her nightgown ripped, but her hand was steady on a shock baton. You were supposed to be sedated by now, she hissed. You ruined everything. Cole stepped out slowly. Who hired you, Karen? Division 7 died years ago. She smirked. You'd be surprised what comes back when the right people write the right checks. She tapped her clipboard. Your file resurfaced, Cole. The missions you walked away from. The intel you kept. They want it back. I burned everything, he said. Not well enough. The baton crackled in her hand. She stepped forward. But she didn't get 2 feet before. Click. A gun cocked. Karen froze. Cole's daughter stood at the corner of the house, holding one of his unloaded pistols, hands shaking, but aimed straight at Karen. Back away from my dad. Karen's face twisted. That's cute. She doesn't even know it's. Cole cut her off. She doesn't need bullets to stop you. Karen turned, furious, about to lunge. Cole moved first. A single step, a single twist, and he knocked the baton from her hand, sending it skidding across the street. Karen fell to her knees, screaming, This was my chance. You stole my future. Cole looked down at her, exhausted. You tried to steal my family. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Neighbors had finally called the real authorities. Officers began pouring into the street. Karen's fake squad tried to scatter. Some were tackled instantly. Some pretended to be victims. Some surrendered with hands up. Karen was dragged away kicking and screaming about federal contracts nobody believed. But Division 7 was the real threat. And as Cole stared at the abandoned van, he noticed something unsettling. The dashboard screen flickered on. A message appeared. We'll come for you ourselves next time. D7. Cole closed the van door, walked back to his daughter, pulled her into a tight hug, and whispered, It's over. But part of him knew it wasn't. Not really. Not when ghosts from the government were hunting him again. He took his daughter's hand and walked back toward their broken home, their smoke-filled lawn, their street still echoing with sirens. He wasn't hiding anymore. If Division 7 came again, he'd be ready. And this time he wasn't running.